I've had a really awesome time spending all this time at the Florida Film Festival. I've been taking a few Q&As from the short programs. I'm going to upload the Q&A with, oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. I think it's Robert Scott Wilde, who did the film Thule. And unfortunately, I went to the screening where we lost audio. So, but I recorded that interview as well as for a short program. I believe it was short program number 4. I got the interview with the director of The Candidate, as well as A Doctor's Job, I believe it was. I'm gonna upload them succinctly back to back. So these are currently those clips of Q&As.
You have DVD copies of this for sale as well?
Yeah, they're not for sale. I'll give it to you.
Aww.
Thank you so much, guys. I'll give all of you a copy if you want, so you can actually watch the movie.
Aw, yay!
Any other questions? Anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I really liked your short, and what I really liked about it was, despite the fact that it's a short film, it feels like a feature film. So I was just curious, when you went into production, what was your mindset? Did you go in shooting a short film, but thinking to yourself, it's a short, but I'm going to shoot it like a feature?
Well, I didn't really have much of a choice, because this is the movie I was making, so I kind of approached it as I'd approach any kind of movie, whether it was, 30 seconds or 2.5 hours. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people have been to film school, but it's kind of overwhelming, and it feels like nothing could ever be bigger.
I actually have a question. The beginning and the end of the film, there were those great wide shots of the base, and I'm assuming you didn't actually fly to the Arctic to shoot this, right? No. So I was just wondering how you did that. Was that with miniatures or CGI?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of a few things, but really what we built was a 40-foot by 20-foot, 1/96 scale of the entire base. Everything down to, the street lamps, and then they were lit with LEDs from underneath this kind of elaborate maze table. And then we used a Photosonics hyperspeed camera to kind of shoot it so it gives it that weight and look. And then we shot snow plates and put those in later, and then added moving trucks and everything like that.
Any other questions or comments?
Where'd you get the idea for the story?
This idea comes from Jerry De Leon. His father was stationed over at Thule Air Force Base, and one of his friends one day just couldn't handle it anymore without any communication and just being locked in the dark, and walked off into the snow and died.
Here, I'm just going to hand you the mic.
How the sound was supposed to go.
Yeah. You want me to start from the beginning? Just download the script on my phone. Yeah, effectively the center channel was missing, so you didn't hear any of the dialogue. All you heard were the back and left, right channels and some surround elements, so you effectively missed all of the narrative.
But fortunately there were such strong visuals that hopefully you still got a lot out of it and it doesn't affect the... Anybody else? Any other questions?
At first I thought it was an effect intentional that, it's like, it's so loud there, it's got to be that.
Yeah.
Good, that's how it was supposed to be.
The loud bits are supposed to, the volume of everything else doesn't change. Something else is added. So it's supposed to be loud at times, or really excruciatingly quiet, so you hear the creaks and the crickety-cricketies.
So hopefully, Tuesday night, come back, hear all the cricketies and everything, you get the visual and the sound all at once. Any other questions? Or, yep.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Werner Herzog documentary Encounters at the End of the World, but it's a personal favorite of mine about life in the Antarctic. Was there any research beyond the story of a friend's father or him passing it along verbally? Was there any research into Arctic living?
Yeah, a great deal actually. And interestingly, the Thule Air Force Base was, at the time in 1962, it was 5,000 people living there. It was just too much scope for time and money that we had. So we approached the film like a science fiction movie. Really, they were in outer space, and everything from their jumpsuits being jumpsuits, that's not really what the men wore. And we kind of tried to give it this feeling of isolation by being, lost on another planet. And but a great deal of research was done in terms of Greenland and living, just south of the Arctic, the North Pole. But yeah.
Great. Anybody else? Or all right. Well, thanks so much for coming.
I have a question. What's next for you?
I've written a movie about clouds.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Robert? Okay, well, I think he deserves another huge round of applause. Thank you so much.
Tell me a little bit about the process that brings someone like Robert Picardo, who obviously is extremely well known, into a movie that may or may not be seen by a large number of people.
That's a very good question. With the help of a casting director, this woman named Edie Belasco, she's a casting director in Los Angeles, and I sort of just cold called her. I was a fan of her work. She had cast 500 Days of Summer and Slither, and so I thought she had good sensibilities as a casting director and was still sort of accessible. She hadn't done any huge films, but she was somebody that I think could maybe respond to an independent short. And she's also the casting director for the Sundance Lab. So yeah, I just called her up and said, hey, I have the script. I am looking for a very strong cast. This film is dependent on a cast. If it doesn't have a cast, it falls apart. And so I just sent her the script. She read it. She fell in love with it. And then that started the process of casting. Originally, we were going to have James Cromwell, play Carl Tucker. But due to medical reasons, he was replaced by Robert Picardo at the last minute. And Bob is a fantastic character actor, and he really sort of came through at the last minute and memorized the script over the course of 2 days, which is pretty remarkable.
Wow.
Yes, I just want to make a comment that this is the first kind of film in a long, long time that I truly didn't know what the ending was going to be. I really was hooked on it, and the actors absolutely, that guy, they were just absolutely great.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Other questions for? Is this the team behind Feast, the writing team?
Yeah. The candidate is a short story that was written in 1955 by Henry Slesar. It was part of the Alfred Hitchcock anthology, and it was sort of like a series of short stories, like pulp, stories that were all kind of released as an anthology series. And I struck a deal with the Slesar estate after the literary agency at my screenwriters, they sort of said, hey, take a look at this material. Marcus, the screenwriter, forwarded it to me, and he, we adapted it. And yeah, he wrote the Feast trilogy. He also wrote The Collector, and he also wrote the second Saw trilogy.
How much did it cost to make the whole movie?
The budget sort of snowballed. We had our first week of photography, and we spent about $15,000. And then we had reshoots because we felt that the film kind of needed just a little bit more bolstering and some vulnerable scenes. And that was another 15. And then post-production just got out of control because we shot on film. Just the costs involved with film are just astronomical. So I think all in, our budget was around $60,000. Yeah, pretty.
Can we give you guys a chance? Any questions about Doctor's job for Julio and Andrea?
Why Peru?
Well, I wanted to make a film in my home country, and that's basically why.
I was wondering, what was your inspiration for making that?
Well, the story does come from a personal or intimate part of my life. I know quite a few doctors that do drive cabs, but not only doctors, but also professionals that do this for a living, and that's where it comes from.
And how hard was it shooting all that in a moving car with all those people? That just seemed like it must have been a nightmare production-wise.
Yeah, it was hard. I'm not gonna lie. but it wasn't that bad, because I mean that's one of the nicest discoveries of making this film. That shooting a film that required that had that many challenges in Peru is not as crazy as it could have been in LA, money wise, because and to be honest, I just wanted to go home and shoot a simple movie that had to do with a theme that I wanted to achieve. But suddenly I found myself in the middle of Lima downtown, running around with guns and a car chase and 4 people, and I don't know how I did it, but I did it,
Again, going back to the car, the moving car, there's a fine balance between the handheld kind of feel and the totally on a tripod. You did it very well. I didn't get sick trying to watch it, but you still had the feeling of motion. Did you use a steady cam, or did you? How did you stabilize the image so that it wasn't bouncing around all over the place as you were making that shot?
Well, we use what they call a camera car. So basically, it's a tray that hangs outside the car while a trailer or a tow truck is just pulling the car. So, again,
there's less bouncing and vibration in the first place, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean that also, yeah, like also the roads of Lima, old colonial Lima, wasn't as nice to us as Peru, but I think it worked.
If I may jump in again, the ending, just in a sense, I wanted you to tell me what happened next. In a sense, it was perfect leaving it right where it was, with the birds flying by and him standing there trying to figure out, where do I go from here? What do I do? And how did the ending? How did you decide what to do with the ending?
Okay. Well, so to me, the ending was always he finds the money that he needs for doing something that he's not, a taxi driver. It's as simple as that. The birds at the end, I'm not gonna say that I have birds outside, a bird runner, completely lacked out. That was my Peruvian bad. Yes.
Anyone?
Just for curiosity sake, how much did you guys spend on the film?
Oh, $10,000.
$10,000. Beautiful.
When you were casting this film, did you get your ideal cast? Was it a bunch of people you already knew?
Well, see, that's the other nice thing about working in Peru, is that I was able to work with professional actors, that work on feature films in South America and on TV. So, there is no such thing as a casting director down there, so I didn't have to spend the money. It's just a matter of So to answer your question, I did get my ideal casting, just to not only because we were able to find these amazing, well-known actors in Peru, but also because I had the opportunity to work with non-actors like the mother, for example, of the doctor. She is her grandmother.
Oh.
Who just passed away.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say this. But yeah, so I think having that opportunity of working with professionals and non-professionals, just taking that through the nature way of being from them, I think was a priceless experience.